Good morning. It is February 20th, 2026. Just driving to work. Number 42 podcast. Uh, just wanted to share some thoughts, some rants, life, the universe, everything. Um, yeah, just thought I'd share that. So, let's just jump right into it. As of yesterday and today, the United States has put, I don't know, like a third or half of the U.S. Navy in the Middle East. And I want this publicly stated. If we strike Iran and we start another war, every politician in government should be replaced. Like, should be like primaried out next cycle. Every single one of them. I remember as a kid, way back in the 90s, we used to have just war debates all the time. So, like, late 90s, early 2000s, like, we would have these conversations on, like, when is war justified? And it was pretty accepted that, like, there were reasons to go to war. And, but you needed to hit that level to deploy troops to, like, do different things. You needed to deploy troops to you wanted to put them in the best case scenario. Like, war is a horrible thing, but sometimes you have to do bad things, right? Like, in certain circumstances, a bad thing becomes the thing that must be done. In the event of somebody murders somebody, right? A bad thing then must be done to that person. It doesn't make it good. Like, you are going to spend the rest of your life in prison, or you are going to face the death penalty. Those are not good things, but they are necessary when certain things occur. So we used to have these just war debates, and when does it become just to go to war? And as a Christian and a believer in sacred texts, like, there are moments in those that, like, war does occur. It doesn't make it good, but it then becomes necessary or just in those circumstances. But that being said, if we unilaterally make such a horrific decision as to go to war in Iran, for what reason, right? Like, I wrote a paper. I've actually put that paper back out on, like, LinkedIn and other places, and Substack. I predicted war with Iran. Well, sorry, excuse me. No, I predicted war with China starting in Iran because of Israel. But I did this in, like, 2013. And I basically was showing how Iran was buying a whole bunch of, or China was buying a whole bunch of Iranian oil. And China's in a bad spot because they don't have a ton of oil reserves for themselves. So, like, they're just trying to get what they can get, and they don't really care about where it comes from or who, whatever. They need what they can get. Now, there are conversations on whether or not China has become at least somewhat more energy independent, but the fact that they're trying to deploy as much solar and other things as quickly as they can, I don't know that they're in a position yet to weather the storm of a doubling, tripling of oil prices. I wasn't saying that was ever a good thing or that should happen. And one of the problems was going to be that my main predictor was that Israel was going to drag the United States in. They were going to pop off and go after Iran's nuclear materials and sites. Whether or not they were actually going to be able to achieve a weapon, Israel was just going to do that and cause us a mighty big problem. So, sorry, I was looking at. I didn't pay attention. I'm getting low on gas. Thought I was going to make it further than I'm going to. Anyway, so once again, um, should we get dragged in like this whole spreading democracy and like? I mean, listen, not everybody's ready for democracy. Like the English kind of achieved it in somewhat of a different direction. Several countries have, and so I think we need to be more open of like, hey, the exact model and deployment might not be right for us, for what right for these other countries. You know, Canada's a democracy. It kind of went a different direction. I think we should just be more open to like, hey, let's be smart about what we're doing. But I think a war in Iran would not be just. Like, I also like what we're doing to Cuba, the embargo at this point. Like, I did a whole thing on like, if you really wanted to go after the Cuban government, what you should have done is partnered and flooded in like capitalism and opportunity, and like really worked with them to show them a better way and stop doing the stupid embargo because the Miami group is pissed off that you know they lost and failed to oust Castro, and so they're still like they're still pissed about the Bay of Pigs, and they're trying to drag us in, and now they're somehow a bunch of their kids got into power, and now we're starving the island nation of Cuba for no reason, right? Like we would be way, but it's like yeah, they're in our sphere of influence. You want to do hard power, real stuff like that? All right, let's have that conversation. But yeah, we shouldn't be punishing the Cuban people because little Marco's upset. All right, I'm gonna pause. I gotta get gas. We'll be right back.
All right. Well, and as you saw, well, I stopped at Maverick. Not necessarily greatest prices on gas, but uh, I was sold on Maverick several years ago, um, based solely on what they started redoing and cleaning up their restrooms. And they have some of the cleanest restrooms of any gas station. And I
Kind of earned my business, and then they added some like decent like food. Like it's as good as like I would say it's as good as like your like mid to bottom tier fast food. Probably living a little better. So like they're like breakfast burritos and stuff like that. Like it's a good option. Is this a plug for Maverick? Yeah, I'm kind of a fan. Also, um, they had some pretty good like rewards and stuff for a while. That's up for debate now, but and I keep telling myself maybe I'm gonna win something. But yeah, clean bathrooms won me over as a customer. I like how kind of clean and bright and open their gas stations are. So, digressing. Yeah, we don't need another war in the Middle East. It's not going to do anything for us. I wish like we could have some more like realistic hard power conversations. I don't think the neocons. So like Lindsey Graham is a monster, right? And some of the evangelical Zionist movement people are really kind of toxic and terrible, and they're making horrible decisions. Now, whether or not you're religious, I'm just gonna say, from those who believe in Christ and the second coming, I do not think trying to force that situation to occur is a good idea. In fact, I'd probably tell you it's a really bad idea. And if you think you're the chosen one and that you're going to be the one to do it, you're probably not. I'm just going to put that out there. Like, so all these evangelicals, they're like trying to buy red oxen or cows and like buy ranches in Israel, and like they're trying to partner with the Israeli government. You're getting played. They are using you. And I see that the state of Israel is using a lot of these evangelical Christians. It's like part of the reason all these Congress people have to go and make their trip to not their trip to Mecca, but kind of the same thing, go and take a tour of the Holy Land and visit all that. But like you're going to all these like famous Christian sites paid for by non-Christians. They don't believe in the same Christ as you. I mean, from a religious standpoint, it's a little bit silly. Like to be like, hang on, wait a minute, you're gonna trust these people to help you play out your beliefs and not think that they're just using you completely for money and influence and a whole bunch of things. It's a little bit wild. And Israel kind of keeps picking these fights. The state of Israel keeps picking fights, and the United States keeps getting into them, and it's wild. But I won't. I'll try not to rant too long this morning. My my biggest though is if you're elected and we go to war in the Middle East again, and you don't vote, like the only two people I'm like, hey, anybody who signs on to this war powers resolution that I think Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna put out, which shout out to Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna for the Epstein Disclosure Act and like and sticking their necks out and actually getting that done. I think Congress has sat on their laurels and not done anything for long enough. It's time they stand up and do it. And anybody who signs on to the War Powers Resolution Act and like says, "Hey, like, yeah, we're not going to war. We're not. Why are we deploying so much of our navy that costs us so much money to bully a country that doesn't have the capability to hit us?" I'm just that's annoying, right? This is I am having deja vu. This is Iraq War, like not even like yeah, Iraq War 3.0, except the first one made way more sense. The second one was like we were lied and we were lied into that one hard. And this is like, oh yeah, we're not even gonna lie about it. We're just gonna be like, oh well, I can because I'm Orange Man, right? Like Donald Trump isn't king, and he doesn't get to do whatever he wants. And we have like limits on what the president can do for a reason. And pulling us into a fight like this, where we haven't been attacked, is a problem. And so if Congress like doesn't like House of Representatives, Senate, they don't sign on to a war powers resolution, and we go to war again, and our service members die, shame on every one of those people in the U.S. government, and they should all out, every Republican, Democrat, every single one of them. You didn't vote to. Oh well, you finally came around and voted to release the Epstein files. You're not good on the record on the Epstein files. Out. You're not in there looking it up, holding billionaires and rich people and powerful people accountable. Out. We go to war again, and a single U.S. service member dies. Out. Every single one of you. I I think every Republican, Democrat across the country, if we go to war again, out. And so there's my harsh rant this morning. I just wanted to put that out there publicly on the record early to say it, and then I'm gonna, hey Blake Moore, Mike Lee, if you, not that you'll ever hear this, but if anybody that is in your ear hears this, if you don't get onto that War Powers Act and constrain the president from doing something stupid, you should be primaried. You should resign in shame. You should do that anyway, in my opinion. But anyway, have a great day. And if anybody knows what day it is, that I will be posting a video later to my Instagram and Facebook like I normally do, because it's that day once a year. So yeah, I'll see you a little bit later.